The sky turned black at exactly 0600 hours. Sergeant Marcus Cole was drinking his third cup of coffee when the shadow fell over. Firebase Echo. He looked up and saw something that made his heart stop for a moment. A ship, but not like any ship he had ever seen. It was massive, dark, and shaped like a blade cutting through the clouds. The alarms started screaming. Soldiers ran in every direction. Cole put down his coffee cup slowly and stood up. He had been a Marine for 15 years. He had seen war in 3 countries. He had watched friends die and enemies fall. But he had never seen anything like this. All personnel to defensive positions. Lieutenant Ji-ho Kong's voice came through the speakers. Cole grabbed his rifle and walked outside. The ship was now hovering directly above the base, blocking out the morning sun completely. Private First Class Unipark ran up to him. She was young, maybe 23, with sharp eyes and a quick mind. She was the unit's translator, trained in 17 languages. But none of those languages would help her now. "Sergeant, what is that thing?" she asked. "I don't know," Cole said. "But I don't think it's friendly." A beam of light shot down from the ship. Cole raised his hand to shield his eyes. When the light faded, he saw them. Aliens. Real aliens. They were tall, over 8 feet, with gray skin and 4 arms. They wore armor that looked like it was made from some kind of metal that shifted colors when they moved. There were 12 of them. They stood in a perfect line. And in front of them stood the biggest one. He had scars on his face and golden marks on his armor. A leader. Lieutenant Kang approached carefully, his hands raised to show he meant no harm. Cole and Yuna followed behind him. "I am Lieutenant Ji-ho Kong of the United States Marine Corps," Kong said. "We come in peace. We wish to communicate." The tall alien looked down at Kang like a man might look at an insect. Then he spoke. His voice was deep and rough, and the words were strange. But somehow, everyone understood them. The alien was using some kind of translation device. "I am Commander Taiho of the Velkati Dominion," the alien said. "I am not here to communicate. I am here to inform." Kong kept his voice calm. "Inform us of what?" "Your planet has been claimed by the Dominion," Taiho said. "You are now subjects of the Sovereign. Your military forces will stand down. Your governments will dissolve. Your species will serve." Silence. Complete silence. Even the wind seemed to stop blowing. "That's not going to happen," Kong said. Taiho tilted his head. His 4 eyes blinked slowly. "You misunderstand? This is not a negotiation. The Dominion has conquered 10,000 worlds. We have ruled this galaxy for 100,000 years. Your planet is nothing special. Your species is nothing special. You will submit." Cole felt his hands tighten on his rifle. He had faced many enemies in his life. Drug lords, terrorists, warlords, but they had all been human. They had all been afraid of something. This creature seemed to fear nothing. "There is a ritual," Taiho continued. "When a new species is brought into the Dominion, a representative must kneel before the conqueror. This shows acceptance. This shows understanding. This shows that you know your place." He looked around at the gathered soldiers. His eyes stopped on Cole. "You," Taiho said, pointing one of his 4 arms at Cole. "You will kneel."
Ow.
Cole felt every eye turn to him. He felt the weight of the moment pressing down on his shoulders. He felt fear, yes. He would be lying if he said he didn't. But under the fear, there was something else. Something harder. Something that refused to bend. "Why me?" Cole asked. "'Cause you stand like a warrior," Taiho said. "Because you do not shake. Because breaking you will break the others." Cole looked at the alien commander. He looked at the massive ship above them. He looked at the weapons pointed at his chest. Then he looked back at Taiho, and he smiled. "No," Cole said. The word hung in the air, simple, final. Taiho's eyes narrowed. "You do not understand. I am giving you one chance. Kneel, and your planet will be treated fairly. Refuse, and you will be made an example. Your cities will burn. Your people will scream. Your children will curse your name." "I understand perfectly," Cole said. And my answer is still no. Una grabbed Cole's arm. Sergeant, maybe we should... I'm not kneeling, Cole said. His voice was quiet but firm. I've never kneeled to anyone in my life. And I'm not starting with some alien who thinks he can fly in here and take our planet. Taiho stepped closer. He towered over Cole like a mountain over a stone. His shadow fell across Cole's face. In 10,000 years, Taiho said slowly, no species has ever refused the ritual. Not one. Do you understand what that means? It means every intelligent creature in this galaxy, when faced with the might of the Dominion, chose to live on their knees rather than die on their feet. Cole looked up at him. The smile was still on his face. Then I guess humans are different. Taiho stared at him for a long moment. Something flickered in his alien eyes. Confusion? Interest? Anger? Cole couldn't tell. You're either very brave or very stupid, Taiho said. Probably both, Cole admitted. The Valkyrie soldiers raised their weapons. The air filled with the hum of alien technology charging up. Cole could feel death standing right behind him, waiting, but he didn't move. He didn't kneel. He just stood there, a small human man facing an empire that had conquered the stars. Lieutenant Kang stepped forward. Commander, please, let's talk about this. There has to be another way. Taiho raised one hand, and his soldiers stopped. He was still looking at Cole, still studying him like a scientist might study a strange new animal. Perhaps Taiho said softly, "This will be more interesting than I thought." He turned and walked back toward the beam of light. His soldiers followed. Before he stepped into the light, he looked over his shoulder at Cole. I will return in 24 hours, human. Think carefully about your choice, because when I come back, I will not ask again. Then they were gone. The ship rose slowly and disappeared into the clouds. Cole finally let out the breath he had been holding. His hands were shaking now, but he was still standing, and he was still smiling. Una looked at him with wide eyes. You just told an alien empire to go to hell. Yeah, Cole said. He picked up his coffee cup. It was cold now. I guess I did. The next 24 hours were the longest of Marcus Cole's life. The base was chaos. Generals screamed through video calls. Politicians demanded answers. News crews tried to break through the military perimeter. The whole world had seen the alien ship. The whole world was watching. Cole sat alone in his quarters. He had been ordered to stay there while the adults figured out what to do. He didn't mind. He needed time to think. There was a knock at his door. It was Una. Can I come in? She asked. Cole nodded. She sat down across from him. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Everyone is talking about you, Una finally said. Some people think you're a hero. Some people think you're crazy. Some people think you just started a war that will end our species. What do you think? Cole asked. Una was quiet for a moment. I think I want to know why. Why? What? Why didn't you kneel? It's just a gesture. It's just a symbol. If it could save billions of lives, why not do it? Cole leaned back in his chair. He looked at the ceiling. His mind went back, far back, to a small apartment in Detroit. My mother raised me alone, he said. My father left when I was 3. We had nothing. We lived in a neighborhood where people got shot for wearing the wrong color, where kids my age sold drugs because they thought it was their only way out. Una listened without interrupting. One day when I was 12, some older kids cornered me. They were in a gang. They wanted me to join. They said if I didn't, they would hurt my mother. They told me to get on my knees and kiss their leader's shoes. To show respect? Cole's eyes grew distant. I was scared. I was just a kid. But my mother had told me something the night before. She said, Marcus, there are things in this world that nobody can take from you. Your dignity is one of them. The moment you give it away, you lose yourself. So what did you do? Una asked. I refused. They beat me up pretty bad. Broke my arm. Cracked her ribs. But I never got on my knees. And after that, they never bothered me again. They respected me, even though they were my enemies. He looked at Una. Kneeling isn't just a gesture. It's not just a symbol. When you kneel to someone who wants to own you, you're telling yourself that you can be owned. You're breaking something inside yourself that can never be fixed. Yuna nodded slowly. I think I understand. Those aliens, Cole continued, they've been doing this for 100,000 years. 10,000 species, all on their knees. Can you imagine what that does to a people? To their culture? To their souls? They stop fighting. They stop dreaming. They become cattle. And you think one man standing up will change that? I don't know, Cole admitted. But I know that I couldn't live with myself if I didn't try. The door opened again. This time it was Lieutenant Kong. His face was grim. Cole, you need to see this. They followed Kang to the command center. On the big screen was a new face. Another Valkyrie. But this one was different. She had softer features and wore no armor. Her name appeared at the bottom of the screen. Admiral Hyun. Humans of Earth, she said through the translation system. I am Admiral Hyun of the Valkyrie fleet. I have received reports of what happened at your military installation. The actions of your soldier have concerned us. General Sung, Earth's military representative, stepped forward. He was an older man with gray hair and tired eyes. Admiral, we apologize for any offense. The soldier acted without authorization. We are prepared to, you misunderstand, Admiral Han interrupted. We are not concerned because we are angry. We are concerned because we are confused. She paused. Her 4 eyes seemed to look directly at Cole through the screen. In all our history, no species has refused the submission ritual. Not one. We have conquered warriors and scientists. We have conquered empires that span star systems. All of them knelt. But this one human, this one small creature from a world we had never heard of, looked at Commander Taiho and smiled. General Sung looked uncomfortable. I assure you, Admiral, he doesn't represent. We have been studying your species since we arrived, Admiral Han continued. Your history is fascinating and troubling. You fight wars against each other constantly. You destroy yourselves for concepts like freedom and honor. You have a phrase, I believe. Give me liberty or give me death. Cole stepped forward. That's right. Admiral Hyun's eyes locked onto him. Is it true? Would you really choose death over submission? Yes, Cole said without hesitation. Why? What makes your pride worth more than your life? Cole thought about his mother. He thought about the kids in Detroit. He thought about every Marine who had ever died for something bigger than themselves. Because life without dignity isn't life, he said. It's just existing. And existing isn't enough for humans. We need to mean something. Admiral Han was silent for a long moment. Then she said something that surprised everyone. I believe you. General Sung jumped in quickly. Admiral, please, let's discuss this diplomatically. We don't want war. We just want Commander Taiho will return in 12 hours, Admiral Han said. He will ask your soldier to kneel again. If he refuses, Taiho has authorization to begin the cleansing of your planet. Billions will die in the first wave alone. The room went cold. I am telling you this, Admiral Han continued, because I want you to understand the stakes, and because I want to see what you do next. Your species interests me, humans. I want to see if your courage is real, or just the foolishness of ignorance. The screen went black. General Sung turned to Cole. His face was a mixture of anger and fear. Sergeant Cole, he said. When Taiho returns, you will kneel. That is a direct order. Cole met the general's eyes. With all respect, sir, I cannot follow that order. Cannot? Or will not? Both, sir. General Sung's voice rose. You would let billions die for your pride? No, sir, Cole said calmly. I would let billions live with their dignity intact. Because if we kneel now, we'll be kneeling forever. And that's a death worse than any bomb. Corporal Doan Lee stepped forward. He was young, barely 21, with scared eyes. But when he spoke, his voice was firm. Stand with Sergeant Cole, sir. One by one, other soldiers stepped forward. Yuna, Lieutenant Kong. Others, whose names Cole didn't even know. They stood behind him, a wall of human defiance. General Sung looked at them all. He was a soldier too. He understood. His shoulders sagged. God help us all, he whispered. Cole looked at his fellow Marines. At Yuna, at Kang, at all of them. We stand together, he said. No matter what happens tomorrow, we stand as humans. Free humans. And that's something they can never take away. Somewhere above them, hidden in the clouds, the Valkyrie ship waited. And on that ship, Commander Taiho watched the humans through his surveillance systems. He saw them standing together. He saw the fire in their eyes. And for the first time in centuries, he felt something he had almost forgotten. Doubt. On the Valkyrie flagship, a different kind of battle was beginning. Not with weapons, but with words and ideas. Nari was a scholar. She had spent her whole life studying conquered species. She knew their histories, their cultures, their languages. She understood why they fell and how the Dominion kept them down. But she had never studied a species quite like humans. She sat in her research chamber, surrounded by holographic displays showing human history. Images of ancient battles flickered across the walls. Thermopylae, where 300 warriors held back an army of thousands. The Alamo, where a small group of fighters chose death over surrender. Warsaw, where ordinary people rose against impossible odds. Fascinating, she whispered. The door opened. Commander Taiho walked in. His face was dark with anger. What are you doing? He demanded. Studying our enemy, Nari said calmly. Something you should have done before you made demands? Taiho growled. They are not enemies. They are insects. They will be crushed, will they? Nari turned to face him. Commander, do you know what these humans call themselves? They don't have a single name. They have hundreds. They are Americans and Chinese and Russians and Nigerians. They fight each other constantly. They kill each other over ideas. They are divided in every possible way, and they should be easy to conquer. No, Nari said. That's exactly why they won't be. You see, when we conquer a species, we break their unity. We destroy their sense of themselves. But humans have no unity to break. They are already broken. And yet somehow, they survive. They thrive. Every time they fall, they get back up. She pointed at a display showing a mushroom cloud. They created weapons that could destroy their entire planet. They used them on each other. And still, they kept going. They didn't give up. They didn't surrender to despair. Taiho stared at the images. What is your point, scholar? My point is that you cannot defeat them by making them afraid. They are already afraid. They live with fear every day. But they have learned something that no other species has learned. They have learned to fight anyway, in the command center of the flagship. Admiral Hain was having a similar conversation with High Arbiter Minho. The Arbiter was old, ancient, by Valkyrie standards. He had seen empires rise and fall. He had watched the Dominion grow from a single planet to a galaxy-spanning power. This troubles me, Minho said softly. It is just one human, Hien replied. One small creature. That is what troubles me. One small creature should not be able to make us doubt ourselves. And yet here we are, doubting. Hien was silent for a moment. The other species are watching. They have heard the reports. They know that a human refused the ritual. If we fail to crush this rebellion, if we show weakness, they might start to believe that we can be defied. Perhaps that is not a bad thing, Minho said. Hien looked at him sharply. What do you mean? I have served the Dominion for 3,000 years, Minho said. I have watched us conquer world after world. I have seen the kneeling, the submission, the breaking of spirits. And I have always told myself that it was necessary, that it was for the greater good. That order required obedience. He turned to look out the window at the blue planet below. But I have also seen what we have lost. Our own people, Han. When was the last time a Valkyrie stood for something other than the Dominion? When was the last time one of us had an idea that challenged the sovereign? We have conquered the galaxy, but we have also conquered ourselves. We have forgotten how to think, how to dream, how to hope. Careful, Arbiter, Hien warned. Such words could be considered treason. Perhaps. Or perhaps they are the most loyal words I have ever spoken. I love the Dominion, Hien. I want it to survive. But empires that cannot change are empires that die. And I fear we have forgotten how to change. Back on Earth, the hours were ticking away. Cole stood on the roof of the command building, watching the stars. Una found him there. "You should be sleeping," she said. "Can't sleep," Cole replied. "Too much on my mind." Una stood beside him. "I translated some of the Valkyrie communications we intercepted. They're arguing. About you? About me? About what you represent. Some of them want to destroy Earth immediately. Others want to wait. And some," she hesitated, "some are questioning everything they believe." Cole laughed softly. "I didn't mean to start an alien civil war. Maybe that's exactly what they needed," Una said. "Maybe they've been waiting for someone to show them that the way they've been doing things isn't the only way. That's a lot of pressure to put on one guy who just didn't want to kneel." Una smiled. "You know what my grandmother used to say? She said that a single match can light a forest fire. You just have to strike it at the right time." Below them, General Sung was in a heated argument with politicians from around the world. Some wanted to force Cole to kneel. Others wanted to fight. None of them could agree on anything. But something strange was happening. As the hours passed, the arguments got quieter. The fear started to fade. And in its place, something else began to grow. Pride. People around the world had seen the footage. They had watched a single Marine stand before an alien giant and refuse to bend. They had heard his words, and those words had awakened something in them. In Tokyo, a man hung a sign in his window, "I stand with Cole." In Paris, crowds gathered in the streets, chanting, "We do not kneel." In Mumbai, children drew pictures of a small man facing a monster. In every country, in every language, the message spread. Humanity was not going to surrender without a fight. Not because they thought they could win, but because some things were worth losing for. On the flagship, Nari brought her findings to Commander Tai-Ho. "You need to see this," she said. The screens showed images from around the planet. Millions of people, standing together, refusing to bow. "Oh, this is what you have done," Nari said. "You gave them a symbol, hero, something to believe in. You thought that threatening them would break them. Instead, you united them." Tai-Ho's hands clenched into fists. "Then I will break them the old way. I will burn their cities. I will slaughter their people. I will make them understand. And if that doesn't work..." Tai-Ho was silent. "What if," Nari said slowly, "they truly are different? What if this is a species that cannot be conquered? What if no matter what we do to them, they simply refuse to give up?" "Every species breaks eventually," Tai-Ho said.
Maybe.
"Or maybe we finally found one that won't." "And if that's true, Commander, then we need to ask ourselves a very important question." "What question?" Nari looked him directly in the eyes. "What happens to an empire built on submission when it meets a species that doesn't know how to submit?" Tai-Ho had no answer. The deadline was approaching. In a few hours, he would return to Earth. He would face the human again. He would make his final demand, and for the first time in his long life, he truly didn't know what would happen next. Commander Tai-Ho returned exactly on time. His ship descended from the clouds like a knife falling from the sky. But this time, he did not come with demands. He came with action, before anyone could react. A beam of light shot down and grabbed Cole. One moment he was standing on the ground. The next, he was being pulled up into the sky. Una screamed and grabbed onto him. The light took her too. They woke up in a dark cell on the flagship. The walls were cold metal. There were no windows. A single light glowed weakly from the ceiling. Cole said, "Are you okay?" "I think so." She sat up slowly. "Where are we?" "Their ship, probably. They took us." The door opened. A Valkyrie soldier stood there. He was smaller than Tai-Ho, but still huge by human standards. "I am Warden Ji-Ho," he said. "You will come with me." They had no choice. The warden led them through long hallways that seemed to go on forever. Cole looked around, memorizing the path. Soldier's instinct. Always know your exits. They passed cells filled with other creatures. Aliens of species Cole had never imagined. They were thin and broken with empty eyes. They looked at Cole as he walked past. Some of them whispered, "Is that him? The one who refused?" He stood. He actually stood. Maybe there is hope. Cole met their eyes. He nodded at them. It wasn't much, but it was something. They arrived at a massive door. It opened to reveal a chamber so large that Cole couldn't see the walls. In the center was a platform, and on that platform sat a throne. And on that throne sat the oldest creature Cole had ever seen, the Sovereign Q. He was ancient. His gray skin was wrinkled and spotted. His 4 eyes were dim but still sharp. He wore robes that seemed to flow like water. And when he spoke, his voice was like thunder from a distant mountain. "So this is the human who refused to kneel."
Ow.
Cole stood straight. "That's me." The Sovereign studied him. "You are smaller than I expected. I get that a lot." Commander Taiho stood beside the throne. His face was a mask of controlled anger. "Sovereign, let me end this creature. Let me show the galaxy what happens to those who defy us." "Patience, Commander." The Sovereign raised one ancient hand. "I did not live for 10,000 years by acting in haste. I want to understand this human before I destroy him." He turned back to Cole. "But tell me, little creature, why did you refuse?" "Because I'm not a slave," Cole said simply. "Everyone is a slave to something. To fear, to desire, to survival. You are no different." "Maybe, but I choose what I serve." "And I don't serve you." Sovereign laughed. It was a dry, rattling sound. "You speak of choice as if it matters. Choice is an illusion. In the end, there is only power. Those who have it rule. Those who don't obey, this is the way of the universe." With respect, Cole said, "That's garbage." The chamber went silent. No one had spoken to the Sovereign like that in centuries. "Explain," the Sovereign said, his voice dangerously soft. "Power doesn't mean anything if people don't believe in it. You can have all the ships and weapons in the galaxy, but if everyone just stops obeying you, what do you have? Nothing. Power only works because people agree to be afraid of it, and you are not afraid." "I'm terrified," Cole admitted, "but I've decided that being afraid doesn't mean I have to give up. Fear is just a feeling. It doesn't control me unless I let it." The Sovereign leaned forward on his throne. "You truly believe this?" "I know it. Every human knows it. We've been fighting fear since we crawled out of caves. Monsters, diseases, each other. We learned a long time ago that the only way to beat fear is to face it. Sometimes you win. Sometimes you lose. But you always fight." The Sovereign was quiet for a long moment. Then he made a gesture to Warden Jiho. "Show him what we do to those who fight." The pain was unlike anything Cole had ever felt. It wasn't physical. It was something worse. The Velkari had machines that could reach into your mind and pull out your worst memories. Your greatest fears, your deepest shames. Cole saw his mother dying. He saw his fallen brothers in battle. He saw every failure, every mistake, every moment of weakness in his life. But he didn't scream. He didn't beg. He just endured. Hours passed. Maybe days. Time had no meaning in that chamber. Yuna was forced to watch. She cried. She pleaded with them to stop. But Cole would look at her between sessions and somehow manage to smile. "It's okay," he would say. "This is nothing." And the strange thing was, he meant it. Compared to the thought of kneeling, of giving up, of betraying everything he believed in, the pain was nothing. Pain ended. Shame was forever. The other prisoners watched through screens in their cells. Word spread through the ship. The human was being tortured. The human was not breaking. The human was still smiling, and something began to change. In cell block 7, a creature called a Norvin stood up for the first time in 50 years. He looked at his cellmates and said, "If that small creature can resist, why can't we?" In cell block 12, a group of beings who had forgotten their own names began to remember. They began to whisper about rebellion. In cell block 20, a young alien who had been born in captivity asked his mother, "What does freedom mean?" And for the first time, his mother could answer. The sovereign watched it all through his surveillance systems. He saw the change spreading through his ship like a fire. He saw his perfect order beginning to crack. "Enough," he finally said. Cole was brought before him again. He could barely stand. His face was bruised. His body was broken, but his eyes were still clear. And he was still smiling. "What are you made of, human?" The sovereign asked. Cole coughed. Blood came up, but he laughed anyway. "Stubbornness," he said. "And coffee. This is not a joke. I could destroy your planet with a single command. Then do it." Cole met the ancient alien's eyes without fear. "Burn our cities. Kill our people. Turn Earth into dust. And you know what will happen? The other species will see it. They'll see that you had to destroy an entire planet just to stop one man from standing. And they'll know the truth." "What truth?" "That you're scared of us. That for all your power, for all your ships and weapons, and 10,000 years of conquest, you're terrified of a creature that doesn't know how to give up. And if they can make you scared, maybe they can too." The sovereign was silent. For the first time in millennia, he had no words. Yuna stepped forward. Her voice was shaking but strong. "He's right," she said. "We don't know how to quit. It's not in our nature. You can beat us. You can kill us. But you can't make us stop believing that we matter. Every human, from the moment we're born, is taught that we have value, that our lives mean something, that we deserve to be free." She looked at the prisoners watching through the screens. "I think deep down, every creature in this galaxy knows the same thing. They've just forgotten. Maybe it's time they remembered." The sovereign looked at them. Two small, broken creatures standing in his great hall, defying his empire with nothing but words, and he felt something he had not felt in 10,000 years: fear. The rebellion started with whispers. Prisoners who had been silent for centuries began to talk. Guards who had followed orders without question began to doubt. And in the heart of the flagship, the most powerful leaders of the Velkari Dominion gathered to decide the fate of two small humans. "We must destroy Earth," Commander Taiho demanded. "We must show the galaxy that defiance means death." "If that doesn't work?" Admiral Han asked. "What if destroying Earth only proves the humans' point? What if the other species see it as proof that we can be challenged? Then we destroy them too. We destroy anyone who questions us." "And how many must we destroy, Commander? How much blood must we spill to maintain an order that is already cracking? Look around you. Our own soldiers are hesitating. Our own scholars are questioning. The fire has already started. Burning the forest will not put it out." High Arbiter Minho stepped forward. His ancient face was calm, but his eyes were troubled. "I have served this empire for 3,000 years, he said. "I have believed in our way of doing things. Submission brings order. Order brings peace. But I see now that I was wrong. We did not bring peace. We brought silence. And silence is not the same thing." Sovereign watched them argue from his throne. He had not spoken since his encounter with Cole. His mind was far away, lost in memories of an age before the Dominion existed, an age when his people had been young and full of hope, before they had learned that conquest was easier than creation. "Enough," he finally said. His voice was tired. "Bring the human to me. One last time." Cole was carried into the throne room. He was too weak to walk now, but when they set him down, he managed to stand on his own 2 feet. He swayed but did not fall. Commander Taiho stood beside the sovereign, his hand on his weapon. "Say the word, my lord. Let me end this." But the sovereign shook his head. He rose from his throne slowly, his ancient bones cracking. He walked down the steps until he stood face to face with Cole. They were about the same height now. The sovereign had to look up slightly to meet the human's eyes. "You have broken something that has stood for 100,000 years, the sovereign said. "My empire. My order. My understanding of the universe. I look at you, and I see everything I thought I knew falling apart." "I'm sorry," Cole said. And strangely, he meant it. "I didn't want to destroy anything. I just wanted to stay me. That is what makes you dangerous. You do not fight for power or territory or revenge. You fight simply to exist as yourself. And that is a battle we do not know how to win. The sovereign turned to face his commanders, his advisors, his soldiers. They all watched in silence. For 10,000 years, we have ruled this galaxy. We have brought order to chaos. We have united 1,000 species under one banner. And we told ourselves that this was good, that this was necessary, that the universe needed us to be strong. He looked back at Cole. But this small creature has shown me the truth. Strength without spirit is meaningless. Order without freedom is just a cage. We have conquered the stars, but we have lost ourselves. We have become the very thing we once fought against. Commander Taiho stepped forward. Sovereign, you cannot be serious. You would let this human destroy everything we have built? He has not destroyed anything, Commander. He has simply shown us what we already were. Hollow. Empty. A great machine with no soul. The Sovereign's voice grew stronger. I will not order the destruction of Earth. I will not force this species to kneel. And I will not continue to rule an empire built on broken spirits. Gasps echoed through the chamber. This was impossible. The Sovereign had ruled for 10,000 years. His word was law. His will was absolute. What are you saying? Admiral Haon asked. I'm saying that it is time for change. Not because we are weak, but because we have finally found something worth changing for. He looked at Minho. Arbiter, you have questioned our ways in secret for centuries. Now I am asking you to question them openly. Lead a council. Create new laws. Find a way for our species to exist that does not require the submission of others. He looked at Nari. Scholar, you have studied the humans. Continue your work. Learn from them. Share what you learn with everyone who will listen. He looked at Taiho. Commander, I know this is hard for you. You have dedicated your life to the old ways. But I am asking you to consider that there might be a better way. Not for my sake. For your own. Taiho's face was a storm of emotions. Anger, confusion, something that might have been sadness. He turned away without a word. The Sovereign nodded sadly. Then he turned back to Cole. You are free, he said. Your planet is free. You are the first species in 10,000 years to join the galactic community as equals rather than subjects. Just like that? Just like that. Although I suspect it will be much more complicated than that in practice. Empires do not change overnight. But we have to start somewhere. And you have given us a place to start. Yuna helped Cole stay on his feet. Tears were running down her face. We did it, she whispered. We actually did it. No, Cole said. They did it. We just reminded them of something they already knew. 1 week later, Cole stood on the roof of Firebase Echo again. The Velkari ship was still in the sky, but it looked different now. Less like a weapon and more like a guest. Yuna found him there, just like before. Should be resting, she said. You're still hurt. I'm fine. Cole looked up at the stars. I keep thinking about all those species out there. All those people who spent their whole lives kneeling. How do you come back from that? How do you remember who you are after forgetting for so long? Slowly, Yuna said. One day at a time. But they'll do it. They just needed someone to show them it was possible. I'm not a hero, Yuna. I'm just a guy who is too stubborn to kneel. That's exactly what a hero is. Someone who does the right thing even when it's hard. Even when it costs them everything. Even when they're afraid. Cole smiled. It hurt his face. Everything still hurt. But he smiled anyway. What happens now? I don't know. Everything changes, I guess. The galaxy isn't the same place it was a week ago. The Dominion is reforming. The other species are waking up. Earth is going to be part of something bigger than we ever imagined. Sounds scary. It is. But it's also exciting. We get to help build something new. Something better. Footsteps behind them. Commander Taiho walked up to the roof. He was alone. No weapons. No armor. Just himself. Cole turned to face him. They stood in silence for a moment. I came to say goodbye, Taiho finally said. I am leaving the fleet. I do not know what I believe anymore. I need time to think. I understand. Taiho hesitated. I have spent my whole life breaking others. It was all I knew. And then I met you, and I could not break you. I tried. I failed. And now I must ask myself why. Maybe because some things aren't meant to be broken. Taiho nodded slowly. Perhaps I simply found something stronger than me. Either way, I will remember this human. I will remember that one small creature stood against an empire and did not fall. He turned to leave. Then he stopped. We have a word in my language. It has no translation in yours. It means someone who changes everything just by being who they are. We use it rarely. We have not used it in 10,000 years. He looked at Cole. Today, I use it for you. Then he was gone. Cole watched him walk away. Yuna took his hand. What do you think will happen to him? I think he'll figure it out. People can change. Even aliens. Even enemies. They just need a reason. The sun was rising over Firebase Echo. A new day. A new era. A new galaxy waiting to be explored. Cole reached into his pocket and pulled out a small metal cup. He had saved it from the day everything started. The coffee cup he had been drinking from when the ship first appeared. You kept that? Yuna asked. Reminds me of who I am. Just a regular guy who drinks too much coffee and doesn't know when to quit. He looked up at the stars again. Somewhere out there, statues of kneeling figures were being torn down. Chains were being broken. Voices that had been silent for millennia were starting to speak. All because one man refused to bow. Not bad, Cole said quietly. For a regular guy, Yuna laughed. And together, they watched the dawn of a new age spread across the sky. The end.